Hello, everyone. My name is Amol Nirgudkar. I'm the CEO of Patient Prism, and I'm here with Ellie Naderi. She is the leader and the CEO of Dental Solutions by Ellie Naderi. Talk to us about how you started in the business a little bit, and how you got to from working as somebody who's a dental assistant maybe, and then hygienist, and then now to CEO of various different DSOs.
Yeah.
How'd you like move up that path so quickly and throughout your life? Was it intentional? Was it accidental? Was it a combination of both?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So definitely intentional.
Okay.
I've always had a quest to learn and know as much about dentistry and the operations of dentistry.
Sure.
So ended up working every function in the dental practice. Like you said, I was a dental assistant. I was a practice manager.
Wow.
I practiced hygiene for 7 years. And then I always knew that there was going to be more there for me. Now, I didn't necessarily know that I was going to end up being in the DSO space. But by the virtue of working for a very well-renowned pharma company, I got exposure to DSOs for the first time, met some really wonderful people and mentors.
Nice.
And eventually transitioned from clinical hygiene to working in pharmaceutical.
Wow.
And then from pharmaceutical, stepping into leadership roles within DSOs. And through that process, I've had a lot of learnings. I have mostly learned what I don't like about how we operate in DSO settings. And so I've definitely developed a passion around solving for some of the pain points that exist today. One of the biggest topics that I've really became passionate about is the leadership component and how to really get the best out of your teams within a DSO.
Absolutely.
And so here we are, and I'm hoping that I can really help impact a lot of leaders out there. I do work with private equities as well. So my most recent CEO run was a private equity-backed DSO out of the Pacific Northwest, a PETA Ortho Group.
Wow.
Tremendous experience, but at this point, my goal is to help as many leaders out there bridge that gap.
What do you think when you were at some of the larger DSOs? What was the secret? What if there was one secret to really enable buy-in from an organization at every level? You need buy-in from the assistants, the hygienists, the treatment plan coordinators, the doctors. What was one thing that worked really well in getting them to rally around a similar mission, vision, and core values?
Yeah, that's a great question, and you're hitting on some big passion points of mine.
Okay.
I would say just leading with transparency, right? There's no reason why I have information or I have access to KPIs that my hygienists don't have access to.
Okay.
So I'm all about just being as transparent as possible, communicate as openly as possible, and really help set the vision so everybody can row in the same direction, right? I'll literally make everyone hop into a virtual boat, hand them the paddle, and say, this is the direction we're going. This is what we're trying to accomplish.
Here's a difficult question. I think you should be able to easily answer it. Is clinicians are not motivated by money. Clinicians are motivated by patient care. Mm-hmm. They want to deliver the best patient care ever. So if you go into an organization and say, hygienists, over here, you need to produce $1,500 a day. Mm-hmm. That's not a great motivator to them,
no,
right?
It's not.
And how do you motivate clinicians to perform, hygienists especially? How do you help them perform at the highest level of their license?
So because I've been there, I've walked a mile in their shoes. I do have a bottoms-up lens with all of my communication.
Right.
And so my message is always do what you would do if your child was in the chair.
Right.
Do what you do if your mom was in the chair, right? I'm not asking you to reinvent dentistry. I'm just asking you to practice it the way that it was taught to you in dental school,
right,
in the most ethical way.
Right.
And if you really focus on patient care, patient experience, quality dentistry,
right,
the rest follows. And that's really been my model. I've been in situations where I've inherited, clinical protocols and philosophies that were less than desirable, and the patient was not winning.
Right.
And with the lens and the fear of like, we're going to lose revenue, we're going to lose EBITDA, but that's not the case, because the goal is to create a patient for a lifetime.
Correct.
And so if you really do things through that caring lens for your patient and don't change a thing, if that was your child, if that was your mom in the chair,
Right.
then the rest really follows. The revenue follows, the buy-in from the clinicians is there, the respect for the organization is there, because you're not trying to get doctors to practice outside of their comfort zone,
Right.
or practice outside of the gold standards that we've established in dentistry.
But training becomes important, right, as part of this, because you can't do this without the appropriate amount of training that the clinicians need to feel more comfortable in doing what they're supposed to do. The hygienists need training on a continuous basis, even doctors,
Correct.
you know. And so, how important was that when you were scaling these DSOs? How important was training?
Yeah, really great question. So incredibly important. That's why, really when you look at your DSO leadership team, it's broken out into practical operations and clinical operations. And you have to have both pieces there. And you have to have clinical leaders that have walked the walk,
Right.
so that they're credible, right?
Right.
Ideally, they've been in the shoes of those dentists, and they can really speak to, or the hygienists, and
Right.
they can speak to what success looks like,
Right.
and they can work through their pain points, help address some of their concerns
Right.
and barriers, because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
there's only so many ways you can slice dentistry.
Correct. What do you work on first in terms of getting that CEO ready to take this challenge?
Yeah, so great question. So first and foremost, go slow
Okay.
to go fast.
Okay.
Okay, not sloppy, not bring a bunch of offices for the sake of consolidation, but truly develop your functional areas so that you can support the platform.
Okay.
So doing it right, and identifying what that looks like. Does the technology stack need to be a certain way? Do you need HR leaders close to the field versus at the helm?
Right.
And just really work with them in building out their functional area. And this is a huge challenge for a lot of people, because as humans, we have emotional attachments to our teams, to the people that we're working with. And so oftentimes CEOs are like, yeah, but Susie, Susie
Right.
and Bob. I'm like, no, forget about Susie and Bob. Tell me what you need to support the practices.
Correct.
Let's create the org chart. Let's build out the functional areas, and then let's back in our people and see where the gaps in talent are. And if you have a gap in talent, you got to take your blinders off, and you got to bring in people with frame of reference that have scaled organizations, because it's great to promote. And we're here talking about empowerment today, especially of women. And I'm all for that. But blind can't lead the blind, right?
That's right.
That doesn't work. So, personally, I've been so just fortunate and blessed throughout my career, because I've been surrounded by people that have a frame of reference, because you just simply don't know what you don't know.
You've said so many amazing things. I could do a 8-hour session with you and we would not be done. But I think you identified the most important blinder that CEOs have, is they are chained by their own past, and sometimes they're chained by ideas of loyalty, and they're like, oh my God, this person supported me in my other business, but now they need to come support me here.
Right.
Instead of trying to fit the square Susie in the round
Right.
Bob hole,
Right.
We should not try to do that, right? We should try to figure out where the needs are, where the gaps are, and see whether Susie fits those gaps. If she
Exactly.
doesn't, maybe she needs to move somewhere else where those gaps could be filled. But just
Exactly.
because somebody's been with you 20 years, I have tons of examples of that in my
It's
career.
a classic mistake, and it is a blind spot.
Yeah.
And, I'm all for loyalty. I'm all for
That's-
collaboration. And I truly believe that people, if they're in the right seat,
Right.
they will succeed.
Absolutely.
And you have to play off of people's strengths and not focus on their weaknesses. But if you're putting them in roles where their weaknesses are rising to the top, the entire organization is going to lack. And really, honestly, this ties back to culture. All it takes is one person on the
100%,
team,
100%.
1% on the team, to not, have their ego in check, or not pull their weight from a leadership perspective. And it will break the back of the culture in the organization. And CEOs have a responsibility
Absolutely.
to handle their team and make sure that they are performing at their very best.
100%.
And so one other comment, because you
Yeah.
mentioned about, doing things the same way,
Yeah.
okay? Probably about a decade ago, I learned a very important lesson,
Yeah.
right? Because I've been in dentistry for 27 years.
Right.
If I was going to tell you the number of years prior to that when I was a teenager, because my sister went to dental school and I was hanging out
Right.
in dental practices, it
Right.
would really age me. But one of the things that I had to learn the hard way, because I figured, well, I grew up in a dental practice, I know everything, right?
Right, right.
No.
That's right.
No. What got you here won't get you there. What got you here will not get you there. And so having a nimble mindset, an open mind, be coachable no matter what stage you're at in your career. We can all learn and grow. But to be dead set in saying, well, I know everything. I've been in dentistry for 27 years. Well, Amal, I don't. I don't know anything. I'm learning every single day, right? So I'll wrap up by saying what got us here won't take us there.
I think we can drop the mic after this because it really is. This is one of the best interviews I've done.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
It's absolutely a pleasure. And how do people get in touch with you?
So my website will be live at the end of this quarter. It's just ellienaderi.com.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
And we will obviously put this interview up there on our channels. And it's such been a pleasure. And I can't wait to start working with you.
Likewise.
Absolutely. Pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, Amal. Appreciate it.